Hello and a very good morning from me from a very sunny South Florida. I'm wearing my shades today. This video will be a little bit longer because there are some things that I needed to say, but other things took precedence. Right, so in the last video I was struggling to remember the phrase I was thinking of, and it was the one about not trusting someone as far as you can throw them. So the updates, what a difference a week makes. I won't go into that, but I'll come back to it at some point. I am still banned on Facebook, and a week from today I'll be back. So I've saved a few articles that I need to post, because obviously can't post them on YouTube. I'll be back in full flow as of next Friday, all being well. Right, so one of the things that I wanted to address was about leading by example. Hang on a second. It's better. Leading by example. So I posted a video the other night when I was out the back. It was a short one. I was out the back putting out the rubbish, and I mentioned about the family who they make videos. They're very popular, and it's amazing how naive people are. They fall for the cutesy. So in other words, all you gotta do is stick an animal or a child in front of them, and they will completely not, I'm not gonna say lose their senses, but they won't look beyond that. They just fall for the cute factor. So anyway, so as much as I've been paying attention to some of the videos as they come up on my timeline on Facebook, it's funny because I didn't go looking for them. The material popped up, and I've said this often, I don't go looking, the material finds me. And as I said in that short video, I said that there was something that didn't sit right, and eventually I worked out that it's because they're praising the talent, namely the talent being the person with the talent, rather than giving the glory to God, because these are people who believe in God. I happen to think that if you believe in God, and when you make videos, you don't make any mention of God. And there was one particular thing I noticed where they sent the children to bed. And, well, I don't know, people do things differently. But if you're training up your children in the ways of God, normally would take them to bed and you go and pray with them. But they sent them to bed. And just reading through the comments out of curiosity, it went over people's heads. All I could see was how cute, they're so obedient. The parents tell them to go to bed, and they go straight to bed. You see, and this is how people get deceived. They don't look deeper into things. Right, so people would think that I'm being critical, that I'm being horrible, but I'm not. I'm just saying that we are supposed to be examples of what we profess. So oftentimes people try to trip me up. In fact, not so much now, because people usually end up with egg on their faces. People try to trip me up. So, for example, a week ago, today, and I say this time and time again, every time an opportunity presents itself, I use it in the best way possible. If you like, I mine it to get material, because we live in this world where we're supposed to be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves, and people are less likely to show their true colors if they see that you are more than what they think you are. So I'm talking about people who have a low opinion of you. Sometimes it is very good for people to have a low opinion of you, because that's how you get to find out who people really are. So a week ago this time, it's not so much that I was finding out who people are, but I was allowing them to expose themselves. And you know, people ask me why. In due course, you will know why. You will know why. And so for me, I'm all about living the example, not because I'm trying to prove anything to anybody, but there is no point holding a belief if you don't actually, you know, you can talk about believing something as much as you like, but you've got to have something to back it up. So going back to that family, for me, if you put yourself out there, if you like, and you're gaining a lot of, I'm not going to say for popularity, but you're gaining a lot of popularity as a consequence of the cute factor, namely your children. And I don't see, I'm not judging them, I'm just using that as an example. I don't see any example of your belief system. Remembering that we're supposed to be examples, let your light so shine before these people, so they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And if I don't, I'm talking from my perspective, because, you know, but I analyze things, I study things, situations, people, and that is, again, it's going back to being wise as serpents, harmless as doves. So the information that I might find out, I don't necessarily put it out there. I use it for my own benefit, if you like, because it's a matter of avoiding people and situations that are harmful. So that's what I noticed anyway. The fact they sent the children to bed without saying, oh, excuse us a minute while we, you know, stop the video. Excuse us a minute while we go and pray with our children before they go to bed. But instead people were blown away by, oh, they're so obedient. They send them to bed and off they go. So that is my point on that. So I'm all about living the example. So as you see, I'm walking again. I don't know when the last time was I actually traveled by public transport. Buses are going past me, and it hasn't even occurred to me that I should jump on one, because whatever opportunity I get, I take it to walk. I've said the reason why I'm banned from Facebook is because I use the word fat and ugly in the same sentence, which qualifies as hate speech. I'm not even going to go into the amount of times people have told me that I'm too skinny. I've never once told a person that they're too fat. It isn't my business whether somebody is fat or not. I remember when I did Supersize, and while we were filming, the producer, female, was trying to encourage me to confront Stefan, that's the obese guy that I swapped diets with, Supersize, the Supersize. And I said, why should I do that? We're going back now 10 years ago. I said, it's not my business if he's fat. And I also said, by telling him that he needs to lose weight and he needs to get himself in order, that is giving him permission to tell me what I need to do. Not that, I didn't go down that road anyway, but it didn't stop him from going down that road, because I'm suggesting they put the same thing to him to confront me about my weight. And again, it's a casting the beam out of your own eye situation. So he's big and fat, but he wanted to tell me that I should face up to my issues with food, which I have no issues. I've said it so many times, I'm just not into it, I'm not obsessed with it, because for me food is fuel. But if, when people don't have that same mindset, again, it's, the majority thinking. When the majority of people are obsessed with food and have a certain mindset, of course they're gonna look at you as the other person out. So I have the same principle. So as I've said, food is fuel. For me, it's no different to putting petrol in the car. The car is only going to use the sum total amount of petrol as it needs to use to get from point A to point B. So I don't listen to this nonsense that you need, I think, as a woman, 1,500 calories a day, as a man, 2,000. You're sitting on your backside doing nothing all day. You don't need all of those calories. That is just the logic. Same thing with a car. The car is sitting stationary. It's not going to be using any petrol. So, like I said, for me, one of the reasons why it's very difficult for people to bring me down, which they do try, is because I practice what I preach. Now, the other thing, this is the topic of the day. Not of the day, actually, of the moment. Money is the topic of the day, being the root of all evil. And it is amazing how much pride people take in their bank balances. Having a bit of money in the bank for a rainy day. Now, I don't believe in that. That is not my policy. I don't do the savings thing, and sometimes I come out openly and say that, especially when I'm strapped for cash, right? So, and people will take pleasure in obtaining that higher ground, the superior position. Somebody said to me, one of the relatives that I no longer speak to, "Oh, you still don't believe in saving?" Right? And again, it says in the Bible, not that I'm going specifically with the biblical advice, if you like. It says we should store up treasures in heaven. Where a man's treasure is, there is his heart also. No kidding. Right? So for me, I find it really fascinating, the obsession with money. I really do. Or the pride people take in it as something that makes them a big man. Yeah, because it's usually men. Because women would be termed gold diggers, kind of thing. So as I said, sometimes it's good to be in a position where people can judge you and view you as less than themselves because of material things. So this is where we are. So again, sticking with the theme of being the example, people don't, I'm 100% all about God, and so God's timetable, even though sometimes I try to force his hand, if I feel like having a tantrum. It's not he knows I'm not actually trying to force his hand. I just would like to see things happening. Not so much a little bit quicker, but I would like to see evidence of things that are to come. So all week, and yesterday was a fantastic day, all week all I've been seeing is evidence of things to come. It's fantastic. So this is where I've said, even this week I said to someone in a message, I believe it was my sister actually, hi Janet, I said people miss the point of the carpenter, Jesus being the carpenter. I have been listening while I worked to the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. As I said in another video, to familiarize myself with this Jesus that people claim to have a relationship with, claim to worship. And from listening, all I'm hearing, the very people now who profess Jesus, they are the very people that Jesus didn't have the time of day for. He used to call them names. I've listened, but I'm going to go back again next week. I've got some other things I need to listen to over this weekend about whatever research. So I'm going to go back and listen, because that's all that kept jumping out at me. The very people who profess Jesus are the ones that he wouldn't have the time of day for. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm talking from the perspective that I have sense. I have eyes that see, ears that hear. So that I find really fascinating. So when I come back, I said to someone, hi Amanda, that when I get back on Facebook, I'm coming after the Christians. Not because I care as such, but because, there are things that should be said. So there's a saying, everyone who has been warned, it's up to him to warn his neighbor. So I said in one of the other videos that people would be, supposedly God-fearing people, would be ashamed to admit that they don't have a relationship with Jesus. I am not ashamed of anything, because I go line upon line, precept upon precept. So whatever I need to know at any point in time, God points it out to me. Sorry, I keep doing this, 1 second. Yeah, anything I need to know, in addition to what I know already, God points it out to me when he's ready to do that. So when I'm having conversations with people, again, especially supposedly humble Christians, there are a type of people who think humility is keeping yourself in the background, when the Bible says otherwise. You're supposed to let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So whenever I talk, I use myself as the example. So I was saying, for example, to my sister Janet, that with regard to mother, that I try to explain to her that people get the wrong impression. If she goes to them and says, this one is so good, this one's done this and that and this and that for me, what have you done? They will walk away with the impression that your problem with them is that you're looking for them to do something for you. Whereas, and I say I don't do that. So usually when I come out and say, put myself forward using my example, people will look at it like you're all about me, which is quite the opposite. You're talking about your example, the example that or rather, sorry, I'm talking about my example here, the example that I live. And this way no one can hold you accountable. So I'm saying, for example, I don't need anybody to do anything for me. I've had people this week ask me, is there anything that I can do for you? I don't need anybody to do anything for me. In fact, the things that I need doing, nobody is qualified to do them. Yeah, my friend Margaret, she's qualified because we do the same kind of work. So she would be of benefit. She could actually help me with my sewing if I was desperate and I needed an extra pair of hands. But I go back to this thing, and people don't like me saying it. When I say the reason why God tells us that we should be perfect, Jesus said, be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven. The reason for that is the more perfect you are, in other words, the more developed, the more you find and develop your gifts and talents, the more useful you are to your fellow being. So if you haven't taken the time to do any development, you can pray all you like, you can have all the good wishes, all the empathy, all the sympathy that you like. It doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't produce any results. So as said, people who are not on the same level as me, and again, people are going to pick that up and think, oh, she thinks she's so wonderful. Far be it from me to say that, because I work with my level. I don't look at other people's standards and aspire to them or anything. I look at my own standards. So I'm going to have to end the video here because I've arrived sooner than I anticipated I would, even though I was sort of walking more slowly than usual. But just to wrap up, it is insane that just because a person volunteers their own example of, their life, how they live, it doesn't mean to say they think they're better than anybody. It's saying that we are supposed to be the example. You practice what you preach. So I'll wind up here, and I'll catch up with you guys another time. Have a nice Friday. Bye-bye.